Everything you've been told about money is a lie. From the moment you were old enough to understand numbers, they planted the seed in your mind. Work hard, earn money, and one day you'll be free. They wrap this lie in golden words, calling it ambition, calling it success, calling it the dream. But what if I told you this is the greatest scam in human history? Money was never designed to set you free. It was designed to control you. Think about it. If money truly equaled success, why do those who print it never seem to struggle for it? Why do billionaires, people with more wealth than they could ever spend, still chase more? Why do you see celebrities with mansions, sports cars, and million-dollar vacations drowning in depression, anxiety, and substance abuse? Because money was never the goal. It was just the bait. They made you believe that success is measured in dollars, that happiness has a price tag, that the more zeros in your bank account, the better your life will be. But if that were true, then the richest people on earth should be the happiest. And yet some of them are the most miserable. You see, real wealth isn't measured in currency. Real wealth is power, control, influence. And those who understand this don't chase money. They make money chase them. But what about the rest? The ones who don't know the truth? They spend their entire lives running on a treadmill designed by those in power, running in circles, convinced that if they just work a little harder, save a little more, and follow the rules, they'll eventually escape. But the finish line keeps moving. The cost of living keeps rising. The rules keep changing. And before they realize it, their life has passed them by. Money isn't real wealth. It's a leash they use to keep you obedient, to keep you dependent, to keep you afraid. The system isn't broken. It was built this way. And unless you wake up to this truth, you'll spend your entire life chasing an illusion. The illusion of success. The bait that keeps you running. Since the moment you were old enough to dream, they planted an idea in your head. Success equals money. They told you that the ones with the biggest houses, the fastest cars, and the most overflowing bank accounts had made it. That if you just worked hard enough, grinded long enough, and sacrificed enough, one day you'd be one of them. But stop and look around. Millionaires drowning in depression, billionaires committing suicide, celebrities with mansions, private jets, and endless luxury, yet still hooked on drugs, lost in toxic relationships, or spiraling into self-destruction. If money is the key to happiness, why are the richest people in the world some of the most miserable? Because money was never the goal. It was just the bait. Think about it. The system is designed like a race, but not a fair one. They dangle the prize in front of you just close enough that you can see it but never quite reach it. From childhood, they set the track. Go to school, get good grades, memorize outdated won't teach you how to create wealth but will train you to obey. Get a degree. Spend years racking up debt so you can beg for a job that covers your expenses. Work a 9 to -5. Trade your most valuable resource, your time, for a fixed paycheck, while inflation eats away at its value. Retire at 65. If you're lucky, you'll have a few years left to enjoy life before your body breaks down and your energy fades. And through it all, they whisper in your ear, just a little more. Work harder. Sacrifice more. One day, you'll have enough to be free. But that day never comes. Because the game was rigged from the start. They made you believe that money was the destination. That once you had enough of it, you'd finally be happy. But here's what they never told you. Real success isn't about control. The ones who truly make it don't work for money. They make money work for them. They own assets. They create systems. They understand that the illusion of success keeps the masses running, while the reality of power belongs to those who control the game. And the worst part? Most people never wake up. They spend their entire lives chasing an illusion sacrificing their time, their energy, their health, and sometimes even their souls for something that was never designed to fulfill them. But now that you see the truth, are you going to keep running? Or are you ready to escape? The system was built to enslave you, the prison you never saw. You were born into a cage, not one made of steel bars, but one far more dangerous. A mental prison designed to keep you obedient, distracted, and working for those who already own everything. From the moment you took your first steps into a classroom, you weren't being educated. You were being trained. Follow orders. Trained to obey authority. Trained to be a worker, not a leader. Think about it. Why do schools never teach you about money? Why don't they teach you how to invest, how to start a business, how to build wealth? Instead, they fill your head with outdated formulas, history lessons designed by the winners, and rules meant to make you just another cog in the machine. Study hard, get good grades, go to college, take on debt, get a safe job, work for a paycheck, save for retirement, and maybe, just maybe, you'll enjoy life when you're old. But by the time you reach that so-called golden age, your youth is gone, your energy is drained, and the money you spent decades saving away for, it's been devalued by inflation, stolen by taxes, and funneled into the pockets of those who designed the system in the first place. The harsh truth, they never told you. This system was never meant to make you rich. It was built to keep you working for those who already are. Look at the richest people in the world. Do they trade their time for money? Number. They own businesses, they control industries, they invest in assets that generate wealth while they sleep. Do they follow the rules they expect you to follow? They find loopholes, manipulate laws, and use their influence to protect their power. But what about the average person? You work 40, 1 hours a week just to survive. You take out loans and mortgages that keep you in debt for life. You pay taxes while billionaires hide their wealth offshore. You believe that one day your hard work will pay off. But one day never comes because the game was rigged from the start. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as it was designed to. Your entire life, you were conditioned to believe that money equals success. That hard work is the key to wealth. That if you just follow the path they laid out for you, you'll make it someday. But let me ask you this. If hard work truly led to wealth, wouldn't the hardest working people be the richest? Construction workers, farmers, factory laborers, nurses, teachers. These people give their blood, sweat, and years to keep society running, yet they struggle just to pay their bills. Meanwhile, a handful of elites who don't trade time for money own everything. Why? Because they control the system. They don't just own businesses. They own the banks that print the money. They own the corporations that pay you just enough to survive. They own the media that distracts you from questioning it. And they own the politicians who make sure nothing ever changes. Breaking free, the choice is yours. Now that you see the prison for what it is, you have two choices. First, keep following the script. Keep trading your time for money. Keep hoping that one day things will magically change. Or, second, learn how to escape. Because make no mistake, the rich don't play by the same rules. And if you want real freedom, you have to stop being a pawn in their game. The next part will reveal the truth about how money is nothing more than an illusion, one designed to keep you trapped. Money is just an illusion. The greatest trick ever played. They fooled you. They made you believe that money is real, that it holds value, that it represents success, that it's the key to your freedom. But what if I told you that everything you think you know about money is a carefully crafted illusion? Most people never even question it. They wake up, go to work, get paid, and spend their earnings, never realizing that the very thing they are trading their lives for doesn't actually exist. the truth they don't want you to know. Once upon a time, money was different. It wasn't just numbers on a screen or pieces of paper with dead presidents on them. It was backed by something real. Gold. Gold had value because it was scarce. It took effort to mine. It couldn't be created out of thin air, and it was universally recognized as a store of wealth. That's what gave old money its power. It was tied to something tangible. But then, the game changed. In 1971, the US government did something that forever altered the world economy. They removed the gold standard. What does that mean? It means that from that moment on, money was no longer backed by anything real. It became a system of trust, a tool of manipulation, and ultimately, a weapon of control. Now central banks can print as much as they want. $1 trillion? Press a button. Another bailout for the rich? No problem. Inflation making your savings worthless? Not their concern. Yet the average person still believes that money is scarce, that they have to grind, hustle, and work themselves into exhaustion just to survive. The silent theft. How the rich get richer while you get poorer. Let me ask you something. If money is so valuable, why do the people who create it never seem to run out of it? The answer is simple. Because they control the supply. Think about this. If you or I print money, it's called counterfeiting. We go to jail. But when governments and central banks do it, they call it quantitative easing. They say it's necessary for the economy. But who does it really help? The ultra-rich. They get first access to the newly printed money before inflation kicks in. They use it to buy assets, real estate, stocks, businesses, while prices are still low. The poor and middle class, by the time that money trickles down, everything is more expensive. Food, gas, rent. Your salary stays the same, but your purchasing power drops. And that's the scam. Every time they print more money, your money becomes worth less. Every hour you work, every dollar you save, it all loses value without you even realizing it. The illusion of hard work, selling your life for nothing. Yet despite all of this, people still sell their lives for money. They spend decades working jobs they hate, obeying orders they despise, and sacrificing their health, happiness, and dreams, all to collect pieces of paper that can be devalued overnight. But the elites, they don't trade their time for money. They print it. They manipulate it. They rig the game in their favor. And if they ever lose, they bail themselves out with your tax dollars. Banks collapse, they get a bailout. Big corporations fail, they get government relief. You lose your job, you're on your own. Because the system isn't broken, it was built to keep you trapped. Wake up. Money isn't real, but power is. So what's the solution? Stop being a slave to money. Because money itself isn't power. The real power lies in controlling money, understanding the system, and owning assets that you can't manipulate. The next part will expose how the financial elite designed this system to keep you running in circles while they sit at the top. Stay tuned, subscribe, and wake up from the financial illusion. The truth about wealth, what they never taught you. What if I told you that real wealth isn't what you think it is? From the moment you were old enough to understand money, you were conditioned to believe that wealth is measured in dollars. The bigger your bank account, the richer you are. The more money you have, the more successful you are. But this is the greatest lie ever told. Because the truth is, real wealth isn't about money at all. It's about ownership. It's about control. It's about having power over systems that generate money without you having to trade your time for it. Why the rich don't work for money? Let me ask you something. Do billionaires clock into work every morning? Do the wealthiest people on the planet spend 40 hours a week at an office, collecting a paycheck? Of course not. Because they don't work for money. Money works for them. They own assets. They own businesses. They own land, resources, stocks, intellectual property, things that make money whether they're awake, asleep, or on vacation. Meanwhile, the average person, they trade their time for money. They work a job. They get paid a fixed salary. They hustle, grind, save, and invest in a 401k, hoping that by the time they're old, they'll have enough. But here's the problem. Time is the most valuable resource on earth, not money. And if you're trading time for money, you are losing the only never get back. The hidden trap. Why most people never get ahead. The system was designed to keep the majority of people struggling, buried in debt, and too distracted to ever question why they can't escape the cycle. Think about it. You go to school for 20 years, learning almost nothing about wealth, investing, or financial independence. You take out student loans to pay for college, sinking yourself into debt before you even start your career. You get a job, but your paycheck barely covers living expenses. Force on more debt, credit cards, car loans, mortgages. You work harder, hoping for a raise. But inflation eats away, making everything more expensive. You try to save, but taxes take a huge cut, and banks give you pathetic interest rates on your money. And this cycle repeats until you retire or die. Meanwhile, the rich, they use other people's time, other people's labor, and other people's money to build their wealth. They don't take out loans for college. They own the banks that issue those loans. They don't live paycheck to paycheck. They own the companies that decide how much you get paid. This is why the rich get richer and the poor stay poor. The illusion of money. Why no amount ever feels like enough. Here's a question. Why do billionaires keep making more money, even when they already have more than they could ever spend? Why do millionaires still feel empty, still chase more, still never seem satisfied? Because money was never the goal. They convinced you that financial success equals happiness. That once you reach a certain number, you'll finally feel secure, finally feel free, finally feel at peace. But have you ever noticed that no amount ever feels like enough? That's because it was never about happiness. It was always about control. They want you chasing money, obsessed with making more, addicted to the pursuit, so you never have time to chase freedom. Because when you're constantly grinding, working, and worrying about your financial future, you don't question the system. You don't see the game being played against you. You don't realize that true wealth was never about money. It was about power. So what's the solution? How do you break free? The answer is simple, but most people will never do it. Stop trading your time for money. Start owning assets that work for you. Learn how to control money instead of letting money control you. Because at the end of the day, the wealthiest people don't measure success in dollars. They measure it in ownership, influence, and power. And once you understand this, you'll never see money the same way again. Pattern interrupt, the emotional shift that changes everything. Let me ask you something. If money isn't the goal, then what is? If the system is designed to trap you, how do you escape? If the rich aren't chasing money, then what are they chasing? These questions might make you uncomfortable because they force you to confront a truth you were never meant to see. Since childhood, you were programmed to believe that money is the end goal. That if you just work hard, stack enough cash, and climb the corporate ladder, you'll eventually reach financial freedom. But take a step back. Look at the ones who made it. Millionaires still grind like they're broke. Billionaires still work 80-hour weeks. The richest people on the planet never stop acquiring more. Why? Because they were never chasing money to begin with. The system was built to keep you thinking like a worker. Here's a brutal truth. If you think like a worker, you will always be a worker. The system was not built to make you wealthy. It was built to keep you trapped. And the moment you wake up to this reality, your entire perspective shifts. Think about it. Why do schools teach you to memorize facts, but never how to build wealth? Why are you told to save money when inflation makes your savings weaker every year? Why are jobs praised as security when the wealthiest people don't work jobs? Because the system wants you to be a worker, not an owner. You were raised to trade time for money, to work for a paycheck, to follow orders. But the people at the top, they don't trade time for money. They trade money for time. They build assets, things that generate money whether they work or not. They leverage other people's time, hiring employees to do the work for them. They control the flow of money, owning the banks, the businesses, the industries, and because they own everything, they make the rules. The game is rigged, unless you learn to play it differently. If you spend your life chasing money, you'll never have power, because money is just a tool, and the people who control it, they don't chase it, they create it. Think about this. Banks print money out of thin air, but you work 40 hours a week to earn it. The rich invest in assets that make them richer, but you're told to invest in savings accounts that don't even beat inflation. The elite own the corporations that set your salary, but you're expected a raise like that will ever make you wealthy. The rich understand that the real currency of the world isn't money, it's control. Control over assets, control over industries, control over the people who still believe money is the goal. How do you break free? Shift your mindset. If you want to escape the trap, you need to stop thinking like a worker. Because once you see the truth, there's no going back. Stop chasing money. Start chasing leverage. Stop working for money. Start making money work for you. Stop being a pawn. Start playing the game like the kings do. Because in this world, you either learn the rules or get played by them. The moment of truth. Now that you've seen behind the curtain, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Are you going to keep living the way they trained you to? Keep working? Keep saving? Keep obeying? It's like they programmed you to? Or are you going to wake up? Because now, you have a choice. You can either ignore this truth, go back to your daily routine in the same endless loop, or you can break free and start seeing the system for what it really is. A game designed to keep you trapped. This is just the beginning. This was part 2 of 4, but in the next part, I'll expose something even more dangerous. How the financial system was built to keep you poor. How the elites manipulate money to control entire nations. Why the harder you work, the deeper you sink into their trap. The next part will change everything you thought you knew about money. So ask yourself, do you really want to know the truth? If you do, stay tuned, subscribe, and prepare to wake up from the financial matrix.